Awesome, thanks, Benji. I'm realizing it's almost 10, and we're on the third to last exec position, so I'll keep this short and simple, as I know you all need to catch up with Drag Race from the weekend or watch Harry Regan on University Challenge. I'm George. I've been your head rep, open day coordinator, food and formals officer, and do many other things around college. The SJCR has gone through a lot this year. We've been unable to do many of the things, from hanging out in the bar to eating pizza during SJCR meetings to having to social distance from OLAV. This is despite the continued effort of the amazing exec this year to fight this storm. But we can't assume it's just going to go back to usual by the snap of our fingers. Many students now don't know what the usual looks like. So I propose we work together to bring back what we've lost in a methodical way. I say we lobby the college to give us back our social spaces as early as possible. And we encourage people to come back to these social spaces by providing study cafes and events, and we show them what they've missed. Let's move forward. With Alice's help, I'd love to push forward an environmental message onto college and ensure college and us are on the same page to make the SJCR and college as green as possible. I want to work with the new or old treasurer to work on how we can resolve cash flow issues, throwing around ideas on how best to invest reserve money safely and effectively. Extending on the trustee board's work already, I want to make sure we are more transparent as ever. We're putting a small report about them in this week, making it more clear about what has been decided so students don't feel stuck in the dark about it, putting the trust in trustee. I have no doubt COVID will continue to be with us in some form, though through hard work and participation of the exec and student body alike, I have no doubt we can do it, especially if we ensure we keep welfare a top priority. Let's bring John's back. Let's make it retro. This is my aim. This is what I was set out to do as vice president, and this is what I will do. So please don't hesitate to reach out, ask me a question via the email on my manifesto, and I'm available day or night on Facebook. Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much, George. Any questions of clarification? Molly?
I'd like to clarify, on your manifesto, you stated that you'd work really well with the president-elect, and I'd like to ask whether you think you'd work well with the current president.
Oof. I thought we did work well together. When I'm not forcing Molly to be on the river and capsize, I think we work very well. And I'm sad she's going, but I'm sure Alice will be an amazing president too.
Thank you. And Michael, please.
On your manifesto, you said that you'd put the trust in trustee.
Mm.
How do you sort of go about planning to do that? And just sort of fill us in on that more, if you could, please.
So I definitely think it's great what the trustee board's already doing at the moment, as outlined by Martin and Molly at the beginning. Mainly, so I set this out before they started this process, but I think one thing that could be helped is writing summaries of agreements and plans by the trustee board during meetings. Obviously, some is confidential, but making it as public as we can and making it available so that we can work with, for example, the comms officer to make it available in this week.
And Gabriel.
For the avoidance of doubt, could you please confirm your identity? Is it Mrs. Weaver or is it Mr. Paddesley? We need to know this to verify you are a fit and proper person for the
I can
role
grab
of
my
charity
passport
trustee.
if that would a passport be, and I do have my national insurance number somewhere, but I don't believe you have the authority. So
I'm asking you, who are you?
I promise I am George. And also, Gabriel, I really need to give you your bag back.
Yes, you do. It's been 2 years.
I'm so sorry.
Brilliant. Looking forward to seeing that in the minutes. When Jackie Weaver's long forgotten, that will cause a lot of questions in future. Any other questions of clarification? Okay, so we'll move on to general questions. Any general questions? Molly, first up.
I have two. Do you want me to ask them separately?
Yeah, I go separately.
So first question. The role of Vice President Undergrad is dynamic and sometimes undefined in areas. What is the job to you?
That's a really good question. I'd actually, I go back to a question that was asked to a vice president candidate back in 2012, and they asked, do you have much experience being a dog's body? And which I actually hadn't heard the term before reading this, but it's very much that kind of thing that as vice president, you are picking up slack in busy times and trying to help those around you and ensure the welfare of the exec team. And I think it's very much being flexible, which I believe I offer, as I've shown in Freshers Week and similar scenarios. And I think it's about being reliable about it as well.
Okay, and your other question?
Yeah, so in your manifesto, you mentioned the Bailey Room. So work on the Bailey Room has already started. And sometimes, as you know, college will go ahead with decisions on the Bailey Room without consulting us. What are your plans for the room and how will you navigate these decisions with college?
So I emailed Anne Allen a week and a half ago, and actually about some of the concerns about the Bailey Room and social spaces. And they actually end up being debated today in the CEO meeting. So I'm waiting to kind of hear a response with that. I guess my overall plan with the Bailey Room is to actually put it to use, because it's so strange. We've done all this amazing work to it and we haven't actually been able to use it for its intended purpose yet. So I think I definitely love to be able to make it into a new social space, look at how we can change how it was before, but also bring back a bit of the old with it. And, you know, like I said before, make it retro, but not retro style. I'm not having any neon signs. I don't know if I can go for that.
Thank you. And a question from Lewis.
So if elected to be the vice president undergraduate, you are an internal trustee. That means that you not only work with the board, but you also, that's being both the internal and the external trustees, but you heavily work with the internal trustees. How would you ensure that you work well with the other internal trustees? And what hints and tips would you take in order to collaborate and seek for intercommune relations?
I think a lot of that can be resolved by being a team player and realizing that compromise is always needed. You have your goal, but probably the best solution is somewhere in between your goal and someone else's. And, you know, finding that compromise and realizing that it's not the be all and end all, your particular opinion. It's about finding a balanced opinion with it. And I think with your question about working well with the other internal trustees, one of the first people I mentioned that I was running for vice president is Alice. I like to think I work well with her, and I'm sure for all the other internal trustees, I hope I'd work well with them too.
Thank you. Any more questions? If not, thank you, George, for running, and to everyone who asked questions. If we